something that I would
Sure.
like to interject here.
Okay. What's up?
If you see a professional dame, whatever, you pay for this, fine, perfectly okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you are purchasing a collar, please don't. I'm asking. This is my opinion. I feel people that purchase collars from their dames are cheapening those of us who put them around consensual partners that we want to keep forever. That's my feeling. I'm sorry if some people out there find that offensive, but
my personal take on it is it's your money. You can do with it what you want. I wouldn't necessarily wear your purchased collar to a dungeon and tell people, where you got it and in what context, because they might not take it so well.
But I met a wonderful man who did exactly that. He was moving out of the pro world into the community. He had exactly that, and I told him, I want you to know I don't necessarily agree with this, but I would love for you to explain it further.
Sure.
And he did, and he eventually, came to a different conclusion on his own. I didn't force mine on him.
No. And of course, there are exceptions for people who might have financial blackmail fetishes, and
right.
That's a part of it too. But
there's always exceptions.
Yes, there's always an exception, but
there's always an exception to the rule. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, as the subby type who's currently in a relationship of that sort, where collars are involved, I can say that being given a collar as a gift that I felt I hadn't earned was quite a trip. Not only was it given far sooner in the relationship than I had expected, and I felt like I didn't deserve it, quote unquote, having it was actually a huge help for me and continues to be, because we started out as an online and long distance relationship. So having that collar when I was 800 miles away helped remind me of the commitment I was making to him and the control I had given him over my life. It was a reminder of his presence, like his hands around my neck, but not in a choky way, when he wasn't there. And now, not just I've grown accustomed to it, but it kind of feels like a part of my neck. And in a nice way, in a good way. I appreciate it as what it is, which is a symbol of our commitment, the one I've made to him and the one that he has made to me. But I recognize also that it is not our relationship, and if it were to be destroyed through whatever, I would still be committed to him. So I don't mistake the collar for the commitment.
I think it would be. I think maybe it would be apt to say it would be. You would feel like you would walk out into the world without underwear on, but that doesn't really apply to you anymore since now you go out on the world without underwear anyways. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like in general, to the average vanilla person, it'd be like you walking out in the world without underwear.
You feel a little naked.
Yeah.
But it would be okay.
But no one would notice, really, unless you were in a BDSM context, and then everyone would notice.
Right.
But that's a danger in and of itself. Human beings like to attach meanings to symbols. It's kind of a part of who we are. It's why we enjoy literature. It's why we enjoy a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And when you have something like a collar, it's very easy to then associate the collar entirely with the relationship, and that's not necessarily the case.
No.
In any stretch of the imagination. Yes, it is symbolic, but it is not, ironically, you don't want to fetishize the collar.
Right.
Yes. Which lots of people do.
Definitely.
Yes, lots of people do.
Definitely.
Well, since we discussed that and we brought up something else, I thought I'd say is, the dominant sitting on the couch here.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? Well, God, it means all kinds of things. But first and foremost for me, I have never felt that a collar has to be earned from me. I know plenty of dominants who feel like that. Like there is an XP bar that you have to gain.
You have to raise it.
Yeah, they have
to maximum.
They have to be a master slave. But
Super slave.
It's never been for that. For me, collars are the outward sign of where we are in our relationship, which is also very important because living openly to me is very important, and it pronounces to the world, she is mine. And that's not going to change. And that having that outward sign to me is very, very, very important. But it's not something she has to earn. It's just an outward commitment, an expectation of stating, this is where we are. We will have further to go, until she gets to the last stage, in which case the only further place to go is dead.
And whatever is beyond the grave.
Whatever's the dead. But
I guess you could
I'm
say...
just not the kind of person that feels like you have to earn something from me. But I understand why people think like that.
I guess you could say it's a particular quirk or privilege of the relationship I have with him that we don't operate that way. But it's totally valid if you view it as an XP bar.
Exactly. And there's another way to approach that as well. Just again, drawing from my past experience as a currently unattached sub. But when I was with my former dominant, one of the things that, for me at least, the collar represented, and we keep talking about expectation here, it represented a different set of expectations. And I knew throughout the course of it that I was not ready to live up to the expectations that collar represented, which is why neither did my dominant realize that I was not ready for it either. And she wasn't ready for her part of it, for that matter.
Yeah, because you definitely... We haven't discussed that, but whoever puts the collar on you, you better have expectations of them too.
Exactly. It's not a one-way street.
No.
You are not giving up your life to somebody. You are giving
for nothing in return.
Yeah, you are letting somebody else be responsible for you.
Yeah.
And to an extent, a collar can represent that level of responsibility. And if you use the tiered system that we were talking about, that level of responsibility changes. Whereas if you're talking about more of a single system like I was, it's a matter of getting to the mental place where you feel that you are ready for that type of responsibility.
Right.
And that responsibility can be crushing, but hey, that's a whole nother episode. I'm sure eventually we will discuss what our opinions are of what your responsibilities, quote-unquote, are as a dominant or submissive or a slave or a baby girl or whatever title you want to go by. If you're on the bottom of the power exchange, what your responsibilities are, and what your responsibilities are at the top.
Definitely.
But that'll be another episode, and not next week's.
No.
Because that one will be controversial. I can already hear the flame wars beginning.
Not to mention long just from trying to name all of those things.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
We already tried once and forgot, like, half of them. So.
Of course,
yeah.
There's inevitably somebody who says, well, I'm an X, and you didn't mention it.
Right.
Yeah.
As I'm sure there's somebody who is currently watching this saying, hey, I have a 20-color system.
Yeah.
Why aren't you giving fair shake to the 20-color system?
Or the cuff and forehead tattoo system, you know?
All of these concepts evolve, not just within the people, not just in the community as a whole, but also within the people. My first progressive collaring system was a collar the first collar was from like a PetSmart or something like that, something that was not customized. The second one was a customized leather collar, and then the third one was a lock. That is changing for me. The first one is still from, a PetSmart, a non-customized collar. The second one this time, I'm planning on being... Yeah.
Not a clue. I didn't realize they had those.
Yeah, they do.
Oh.
The second one will probably this time end up being like a ring of steel, which is a metal ring around their necks that's closed with an Allen wrench. Because I am tired of removing my submissives, my bottoms, whatever you want to call them. I'm tired of removing their collars for the outside world. I want to be able to look at them and go, if you want to remove it, go get a hacksaw. You'll probably have to remove her head before the collar comes off. I want to be able to look at somebody and say that. Which means the third level is open, because that's technically a lock. Which means we'll probably move to a tattoo system or something similar.
Right. And, when I was almost collared, because when things started to fall apart, we were talking about collaring me. I thought I was ready, and she was not. But we were talking about what was essentially a male collar, chainmail type collar. And that would have had a lock on it, and it would have been custom built. Had somebody lined up already that was able to make it, so that it was something that could theoretically pass in a normal context. But
sorry to wrap this up, but we are running out of time.
Right.
As always, email us any questions you have. I'm sure Alice here will write a wonderfully worded blog about this. Next week, we are going to discuss what you should expect when you go to your local or not quite local dungeon, depending on how far you live from it.
Sure.
And what you'll see and what some of the common rules are and pretty much what to expect and why you shouldn't be afraid of it.
Yep.
So, until then, I'm Lilin.
I'm Alice.
I'm Kai.
Yay.
And this has been BDSM Gen Y. You have a great night.
Bye.